I know this message will find who it needs to, but my spirit guides told me clear as day to deliver a message to someone who needs to hear it. Yes, it's PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay, so this is obviously going to be for a woman who is dealing with some type of underlying medical issues, possibly infertilization, or feeling as though you have cysts on your ovaries, or you've struggled with weight gain, weight loss, constant hormonal imbalance. It's PCOS. Okay, so take the information needed and go to the doctor and do with it what you may to get tested to figure this out. And of course, as I always say, take what resonates. If you know this isn't your message, or you a masculine watching, okay, this isn't your message. This is for a born woman, okay? It is PCOS, because you could be someone who's been struggling to figure out why you've been going through mood swings or weight gain changes, or for some of you possibly having a hard time conceiving children if you're someone in a long-term relationship. So using your intuition is the first card out, the High Priestess. You could have had an inkling, and this is just someone's confirmation. I feel as though if you find this message and it resonates, you're going to know right away if it does. You could be someone who's been studying up on PCOS, or you're meant to. You're meant to figure out what is going to help you in activating to lower the inflammation in your body, because that's the biggest sign of it, is inflammation within the body. That's what causes the hormonal imbalance, the weight gain, okay, is confirmation. Or even if you've been someone who's been struggling with like irregular periods, stuff like that, it is caused from this hormonal imbalance. So making sure that you're getting tested as well, because there are certain tests that your doctor could do, your family physician, to make sure your hormones are in balance, and that's going to help relieve a lot of your symptoms, because it directly has to do with the inflammation within the body. So doing some type of research of your own, and also too, it's like trial and error, figuring out what works for you. For some of you, it may be going ahead and improving your exercise routine, like walking a certain amount of steps a day. You know, they say walking 10K steps a day can really help with inflammation in the body. And for others of you, maybe changing your diet, because PCOS can come in the form as well as a gluten intolerance. So if you know you're someone who struggles with like constant bloating, if you are consuming too much gluten, stuff like that, that is affecting the inflammation within your body. So yeah, you're someone who could want to conceive children in the future, or you've been thinking about it if you do have a long-term partner and you feel as though you're struggling to do so. This is why. So making sure you're doing your research on it, but it's going to lead to a new beginning for you health-wise. And more so than that, it's going to feel as though you can overcome a lot of things in your life when you come to really understand why the body is reacting the way it is. And a lot of it has to do with inflammation within the body. So there are certain daily supplements you can take as well. I'm not a doctor, okay? I can't recommend everything, but I can recommend berberine is great, and also omega-3s. Omega-3s are great for the body, especially if you're a woman. They're good for not only hair growth, nail growth, okay? They're really good ultimately for the hormones within us. So yeah, a lot of you are going to feel like a whole brand new woman once you decide to go ahead and make the changes, because some of you may be the type of person to indulge in pizza, breads, things that are helping actually inflammatory your body, okay? So also too, alcohol is something that does that as well, because the amount of yeast. So with this Four of Wands, that represents celebration. So if you realize too, you know, cutting back on certain foods or processed foods or things that aren't good for you are really going to help you overcome this if you know you're struggling with PCOS. So God gave you a greater purpose. I feel as though for a lot of you, you could have felt rejected in the past. Like, for example, if you were in a long-term relationship and you were unable to conceive easily, you could have felt like a partner had left you in the past or didn't stick by your side. If you were dealing with weight gain, hormonal issues, and it's like, it truly isn't your fault, okay? This is something 1 in 5 women go through, and a lot of people don't really know too much about it. So if you're someone who in your 20s at any point had suffered with a cyst, an ovarian cyst, this is an indicator for you. This is double confirmation for someone, okay? But God gave you a greater purpose, and it is to have a family. It is to possibly even be someone who speaks up about PCOS. So maybe in the future, you'll be starting your own health food channel or your own fitness journey, or even just explaining your experiences and what you've been through, because y'all have no idea how much it can help the next person to pass on the knowledge of what you've learned throughout your journey, as all bodies are different. So 9 of Cups, wow, beautiful. That's wish fulfillment. So for a lot of you, figuring out what this is, what works for you and your dietary needs to lower the inflammation, this is going to bring about a lot of healing to you, not only to your body, but to your emotional state as well, because PCOS, people don't even realize it causes anxiety and depression. So especially too, you know, us women tend to be very sensitive about our bodies. And if you're someone who constantly deals with weight gain, weight loss, it can be extremely stressful. Okay, it really can. And to be able to feel as though you're losing a grasp on it when all you're trying to do is watch your macros, watch your calorie intake, make sure you're exercising enough. And if you still feel as though you're not seeing any changes, that is directly caused from the inflammation in your body from PCOS, okay? So there are certain things you could do to help release and also to rebalance your hormones. Now, something I want to add on as well, if you were someone who was previously on any type of birth control, whether that's birth control pills or an IUD with hormones or hormonal shot, okay, that can affect you majorly. So if you're someone who recently got off it or you made a change in that in some type of way, that can also re-trigger PCOS in your body. So if you're going through some type of hormonal changes and you felt as though it's something you're not able to manage, go ahead and talk to someone about it, okay? You can always drop a comment and let me know what your story is. You can always reach out to a friend, a family member, someone else who could be struggling, may want to share their story with you. And also too, reaching out to your family physician or your family doctor, okay? Or your female doctor even, someone who knows more about it, because not all doctors are knowledgeable about it yet, as it's something that's starting to come up, but there are many different ways to test for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that is the way that you're going to figure out. But if you know you've ever had a cyst or you've struggled with losing weight, maintaining weight, like I said, mood swings, okay, or a hormonal imbalance, that is a huge indication. And also too, bloating around the time that you're getting your menstrual cycle. If you find like you bloat and you're like, what? I literally had like 5 grapes. Like, what do you mean? Or you had a piece of toast, right? There are certain foods that cause your body to inflame versus if you remove those foods from your diet. So a huge way to do that is removing gluten from your diet. So that means getting rid of all breads, okay? Eating bread at a bare minimum, sticking to more like fruits, veggies, probiotics is a huge help as well, which is why I mentioned berberine as one of the supplements you can take. All natural supplement. It also helps curb appetite. So if you find you have a lot of food noise where you're constantly craving sugars, foods, that's a huge indicator of PCOS as well, y'all. So yeah, there's certain ways to cut it, but it can be an extremely difficult process. And this reading is not like my usual reading, but it was a message clear as day from my spirit guides to deliver to someone who's been wondering why their body's been making changes, whether you're in your early 20s, late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It is PCOS, okay? And go ahead and definitely get some type of diagnosis or confirmation, but I hope I could give you a little bit of information to touch base. There are so many knowledgeable people out there who can help you with your struggles. And like I said, the human body is different for all women. So, you know, each person's story is going to be slightly different, but those are the main things to look for when figuring out if you have PCOS. And it really just has to do with the inflammation within the body, which can be triggered in many different ways. But yeah, gluten allergies, gluten intolerance, those are 2 major ways. And also too, just consuming too much sugar, processed food. So when you remove all that from your diet and you stay with a healthy caloric deficit and you are trying to exercise too, okay, I know it can seem incredibly difficult if you're not noticing the loss right away, or all of a sudden you lose weight and then you're like plateauing, then you're gaining it back. That is PCOS, okay? So there are many different treatments or things that you can go through naturally to heal the body. But the biggest thing you have to remember when dealing with this is it has to do with inflammation in the body, irregulating your hormones. So I hope that could help. Drop a comment if it did.